that beginning of a sentence, I'm not racist, but I'm like, oh,
100% you are.
we don't need the end. We got it. You said the quiet part out loud already. We're good. Welcome back to part 2 with Dorothy Fee, brand strategist. This time we actually get to the part of the episode where we talk about identity. I had so much fun talking with Dorothy. Please enjoy the rest of the conversation. And if you missed part 1, the link is in the comments somewhere. I have a little game over here. So, the topic for today is identity. And this is what I thought of when you said that. I thought of the game of life because when I used to play it, I played like an old version. I think it might have been this one, where that dial kind of like sits on a pin and spins. And I never understood this game because the whole point was you go to college or you get a job and then you have to get married and then you have to have kids to win.
Yeah.
I was always confused by this game.
It's so heteromononormative.
It is something to do with identity. I think it's what somebody wants you to think winning is.
It's prescriptive.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't think I like. I'm sure the new one has different things, but that's the one in my mind. And then Guess Who I think is a fun game in general, but it's also how do we see each other? How do we interpret what the other person is doing? How do you describe yourself or someone else? So those are the ideas I was thinking of at the beginning. And then naturally, do you know the Ship of Theseus?
Of course. Kind of nerd do you think I am? I actually minored in philosophy.
I knew it. Do you want to explain it then? You probably know it better than me.
It's a thought problem. So say Theseus has this ship and replaces parts over time as they wear out or break. Eventually, every single piece of the ship will have been replaced. So the question is, at that point, is this still the same ship? Or is it a different ship? Has its identity changed?
What do you think?
I think that identity is plastic, meaning not in the sense of fake, but in the sense of malleable, like neuroplasticity. Like our brains are wired a certain way to do certain things that are familiar. If it fires, it wires. The things that you do repeatedly become easier for your brain. You start to wear ruts in those pathways. They become easier and familiar. You default to those to save energy in your brain. But you can change them if you choose. Right? If you look at your habits and your identity and your life and you want something to be different, you can make a different choice. You can start to learn new things and create new habits and wear new ruts in your neural pathways. You can rewire. So I think with the Ship of Theseus, or with a person's identity, you can change things one at a time. It's still showing up as the same ship or the same person, but it's evolving. That's how I look at it, because it's not the individual pieces that made it the Ship of Theseus. It's not the individual services in my business or the individual friends in my social sphere or the individual hobbies that I have taken up and abandoned over the years that make me Dorothy. I'm the same person. I've evolved and I've changed, but I'm the same me. And I'm more me because I have protected the integrity of that fundamental identity, that thread that runs through my life, instead of making my identity about the pieces.
Ooh, I love that. And I think you explained it better than I had in my own mind. But the way I was looking at it was, are you the object or are you the task or the action, right? Am I the boards of the ship or am I that Theseus sails me, right? And that's just for the ship example. But what you're saying exactly, am I that I like Nintendo or am I an action, a thought, an existence above that that uses all of these other pieces? So, yes. The answer is yes. Good, good. And then I had a bunch of topics that I also thought of.
Oh, wow.
These are as if we were going through the game of life or playing Guess Who. These are little things I thought of connected to identity. Do any of these make you want to talk about them?
I could talk about all these, Amy.
Me too. That's why I was like, I don't know how much time you have. I could talk about everything forever. So I think these are like the boards of the ship. These are pieces of
Okay.
something, and all of it together is your identity. That's my thesis. We'll see if it makes sense or not. What's an easy one? Okay, body. That one, I feel like we'll use
Hmm.
that piece up here.
Sure.
So, looking at Guess Who, it's me observing someone else
Uh-huh.
and deciding on what I think they are, or me
Okay.
observing myself deciding what I think that is. So you look at someone and you assume gender, or you assume age, you assume
Yeah.
all these things, but there are invisible illnesses.
Hmm.
There's backstory you couldn't possibly know.
Hmm.
So when you're looking at someone's body, even your own, can that tell you anything about their identity? I don't know. I don't think so. You could guess. I don't think you'll find truth.
I think it can give you pieces of data, but it can't give you the full picture. And it can mislead
Yeah.
you because you only have a very small data set. You might look at somebody, I'll just use an example. You mentioned invisible disabilities. So I have one of my core memories of becoming who I am as a spoonie, disabled by chronic illness. I was at an event at this place near where I live where it's like a reconstructed 1850s village. So you can take carriage rides around and you can watch the blacksmith work and these kinds of things. Next week we're going to Sugaring Off where you can see them watch they're making maple syrup. Good times. And we go there pretty much every year. My kids love it, even though they're older now, because now it's like the Gen Z wholesome. They need wholesome things, right? So years ago, we go and we're waiting in line for the carriage rides. And my physical baseline now is stronger than it was at that point. But at that point, I couldn't do a lot of standing. And so I couldn't just wait in line with everybody else. I sat on a bench and my family held our place in line. And when they got close to the front, I get up and I join them. And somebody behind them side eyes me like I'm cutting. And so I say something quickly about we're together. I just can't stand in line for that long. And he looks me up and down and it looks like there's nothing wrong with me. And he says, "Yeah, it's rough being old and decrepit, huh?"
What?
Hmm.
Ah.
Hmm.
Why?
To a person in their 30s with no visible, like my limbs aren't missing. I'm not in a wheelchair. So they see a person who looks healthy and they think, this person's not disabled. They're just an asshole.
Right. So I'm going to be an asshole. That's the choice. The decision tree in their mind is rage
Because I'm fighting for truth, justice, and the American way.
because they haven't accessed their own feelings and emotions ever. I'm going to get this lady who needs to sit down.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But yes, that's a great example. If you had a cane or a wheelchair, he's willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Or he's willing to, or if you were wearing
Yeah.
like a veteran outfit or a hat or
Hmm.
something, I bet you he wouldn't have sassed you.
Probably. Yeah. There were a couple years where I used a cane that folds out so there's a seat. So if I was going to be someplace where I didn't know how frequently I would be able to find a spot to sit
Oh, yeah.
down and rest, I would take that with me so I could fold that out and sit if I needed to catch my breath. I did notice when I was traveling with that, people treated me really differently. Like I get on public transit, people offer me their
And
seat.
that's something for people to think about. If you, as a human out in the world, are looking at someone's body and deciding on their value or what they should or shouldn't be doing or where they should or shouldn't be, shut up. I try not to give prescriptions on this show, but I think shut up would be what I would say to these people. So, I want to do a hard one. Let's see. Okay, the role you choose to play. I kind of touched on it when I
Okay.
was talking about how I used to work really hard because I want to be overachiever. I want
Mm,
to be the best worker there is, right? So here I put like as examples of the roles you choose to play. You can be an only child like me and my husband and my son. Or you can like be an only child as your identity,
Okay.
right? Being an only child does inform how I was raised, the things I can put up with, how many people are around me in my circle. But I don't see it as like an identity piece. And there are some people I've interacted with who do. They're like, oh, I do that because I'm an only child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, other roles would be if you're a nerd, right? I think they can be helpful. I
Hmm.
like to say I'm a nerd in a way to make other people feel accepted. Being
Okay.
a bully is a role, though, and I
Mm,
don't know if people are consciously choosing that or not. A caretaker
got
is a
it.
role that women often are socialized to play.
Hmm.
So those kind of ideas, are they your identity?
This is where I'm supposed to have the answers.
No, I'm trying to think of the answers. I think they could be, right? I think they could be a surface level, an easy way to express yourself. Like maybe your body is too, right? If I have blue hair, that might signal that I'm a progressive.
It's a shorthand. Frogs together strong. Yeah, I
Yes.
look at things like this, only child, nerd, caretaker. I look at these kinds of things as facets of your identity. I don't think any of these types of things are enough to capture just this is who you are. We're just going to encapsulate everything in this one role because we all play a bunch of different roles in our lives in different contexts for different people.
Yeah.
I think there's personality traits that play into it, and there's just habits we learned in childhood that maybe we're still doing, even whether or not they still work for us. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So I think together they make up your identity, but I don't think any one of them is enough to be like, this is who I am, right? Like if I introduce myself to somebody and I say, hi, I'm Dorothy, I'm progressive, that says one thing about me, but I'm a lot more than that
Yeah.
one thing.
And when you're doing this for brands, that's why they struggle. Because they're like, how do I say everything about me in one
Mm-hmm.
sentence or in one whatever or in one commercial? And it's like, you cannot.
Yep. You can give an intro that kind of touches on things and hopefully piques some interest. And then if they want to look into it more, they can.
I think
Okay.
you're exactly right. And I was thinking too, in my striving to be like, I'm the good worker, right? That is an echo of something underneath of it, right? That's wanting to be accepted. That's all those things. So, like the title you're holding, that's you trying to reach at something that's underneath. So maybe this is the planks and there's something way deeper that you're getting at. Okay, so if you had a title, let me put that one up here so I can see it. This is external accolades
Yeah.
and titles. So if I'm
Yeah.
a soldier, if I'm a supervisor, if I'm a Phoebe from Friends or INFJ, are those part of your identity or like a reflection of what you're showing? What are those? I wonder if you want certain ones based on your actual identity.
Yeah. If you talk about your star sign or you talk about your human design energy type and profile, like these are ways of understanding something about who you are and how you work.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're more like different outfits than the actual identity. Like these are ways that we are
Mm.
trying to communicate something about who we are in a way that somebody else will understand, right? So when I did a lot of hemming and hawing
Yeah.
about my LinkedIn profile title, like what do I put in my description of my role on LinkedIn? And I've changed it so many times. And I thought so hard about, well, does it matter if I call myself a copywriter or a strategist and copywriter? Or like, how do I do? These are just ways of trying to make it easy for people to understand something about us that will interest them and pull them in and start a conversation.
Yeah.
It's the blue hair, it's wearing a frog suit to a protest. It's like, here's how to know if I'm your people or not.
Yeah. Trying to find safety agreement in group. And some people, I think, hopefully not as much anymore, but it seemed like in the past, your job title or whatever, something related to your job, meant something about your value as a person. Like, you're the
Yeah.
CEO. Like, we still think CEOs do a bunch of work or whatever that is. So I think, like, some of these titles and roles and things, we could show them, like, here, this is me. And other
Mhm.
people are desperately using these titles to try to be a person. They're like, respect me. I'm a CEO.
Right. That's how you're going to get accepted and understood and valued, is by showing up with the right title so people will take you seriously. I run into this a lot with messaging clients when we're talking about if they're a solopreneur, one person business. A lot of times, for some reason, they're using we language. They're talking about us and our work. And it's literally one person, and they have no plan to hire or build a team or build a collective. It's one person. And a lot of times it's because they had experience in corporate,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they didn't have corporate experience, but they're showing up in this very crowded online space. And they think that in order to be taken seriously, they need to be a we, because they don't feel like they're enough as an I.
Yeah.
If they don't have the clout of a team behind them,
Oof.
if they don't have the title and the revenue numbers and all these bragging rights, like million plus followers and all these things, if they don't have those to prove that they know what they're doing and should be taken seriously, they have a hard time sometimes showing up as an I and feeling like that is enough.
The enough word, it shows up everywhere. Do you have enough money? Do you have enough? What? Oh,
It's really
it
annoying.
is. And it's one, every time I hear that, I'm like, I have to investigate it.
Yeah. And we judge ourselves really harshly, but then we also assume that other people are judging us at least as harshly, if not more.
Yeah.
And then people start like circulating really harmful narratives and like in the red pill space. And now apparently men think that women are not interested in men who don't make six figures and are 6 feet tall and have 6 inches. Like if you're not those things, no woman
My
is going to pay
God.
attention to you. And I'm like, where are you getting this?
Well, the people saying that have never talked to a woman before.
Yes, they're only listening to other men who profit by making
Yes.
these men insecure and afraid and angry, so that they will keep listening to this
Yeah.
person's content so that they can continue to monetize it. That person is not looking out for your best interests. This is one of the things that drives me crazy about marketing. There's people who have a lot to say online,
Yes.
and people, you and I, Amy, as trained copywriters, we know that emotions are what drive decisions, because emotions in your
Yep.
gut fire a lot faster than your brain does. Your gut has made a decision before your brain even knows that there's a question. It's not about how smart you are.
Your brain is just making up a reason for you to do what your gut wanted.
Yes, the decision is made. Your brain just tries to justify it, right? But a lot of people don't know that. And so they're watching this content online from people who are spewing things that sound scientific, and they're feeling these feelings and they're reacting. It's triggering all this fear based behavior, because if this person's right, then I need to listen to
Yeah.
them, because it would be really dangerous to not be listening to them, because then I'm going to get left out and I'm going to get abandoned and I'm going to die alone. And I don't want that. So I need to listen to what this person says. What a lot of people don't understand is that if somebody is using messaging that makes you feel afraid or angry, and that's the primary emotion that's coming up when you listen to them, that person is manipulating you.
There's definitely a $10,000 course at the end of that pipeline.
For sure. I saw a meme one time that on Facebook, and it's like it's just a picture of a jar of ants, and it says something like, if you put red ants and black ants in a jar together, they're not gonna get into a fight. They're just gonna try to figure out, like, why the fuck are we in this jar? They're just gonna do their thing. If you shake the jar, then they start attacking each other. So if people are attacking each other,
Yep.
pay attention to who is shaking the jar.
Mm-hmm. And stop. I see people. They're not my like friends, but you know the friends of friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
They're participating and they don't know it.
Yeah.
And that's where like these labels come in. Like we said, progressive. If I'm truly progressive, I'm not going to engage in some of the conversations that some people who claim to be progressive are engaging in. I don't need to be getting into weird little fights about details, about whose car was pointed what way. That is like for some kind of team sports points kind of game that you're playing, that means you're not, to me,
It's
embodying
performative.
the message. Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
maybe that's it. So these awards and these things, it's either
Yeah.
performative or embodied, right? I
Mm-hmm.
am this because that is what I am, or please notice that I'm this so I can have some sort of reward for it from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense
Yeah,
for
I think
identity.
that's right. Shit posting online about like personal attacks about our dear leader, talking about his ankles and the color of his tan and his hair
Right. I'm like, what are we doing?
and his physical size and all these things and how he's having trouble walking now. I'm like, dude, you are being like a body shaming ableist asshole right now.
Yes, right. And they're like, it's okay because it's him.
Like it's not.
No, it isn't. If you actually believe, then you don't do it.
You're feeding into the same like
Yes.
tool of the patriarchy says what? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same system and you're feeding into it.
You're gonna make fun of him for being short and then be like, no offense.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if no offense, don't say it or think it. You don't
Right.
need to think it. You said way worse stuff than be short or whatever the fuck they think that is. It's not exactly performative versus embodied.
If you immediately make an excuse for something that you're about to say to somebody or do to somebody, that's because you think it needs to be excused because you know that it is wrong.
That beginning of a sentence, I'm not racist, but I'm like, oh,
100% you are.
we don't need the end. We got it. You said the quiet part out loud already. We're good. Today's episode is brought to you by donating blood. You get a little name tag sometimes when you do it. You get a stretchy bandage when you do it. If these aren't benefits enough, you also save 3 people's lives, and sometimes they give you gift cards, I guess, but most importantly, snacks. There were some pretty awesome snacks. How do you donate blood? You Google it. You look up Red Cross blood donation near me or blood donation near me and find one. The Red Cross is one, United Blood Services is another. There are many of them. The Red Cross one has an app. You can find the nearest one, schedule it. On the day of your donation, make sure you eat, drink water a couple days before. And there's like a fast pass thing you can fill out so that it's quicker when you get there. Yes, there are a bunch of questions. Yes, they take your blood pressure. What else do they do? They used to poke your finger to get your hemoglobin, your iron levels, to check if you're okay to donate. And now there's a cool little thing. It goes around your finger and it just keeps squeezing your finger. And through some sort of witchcraft, it can tell your hemoglobin. Hemogoblins. The people who work there are cool. The people who go there are cool. You should try it. And you get big, strong arms. And for the rest of the day, you have to take it easy. So donate blood and take it easy. And now, back to the episode.
How about morals?
Ooh, I love it. So I watch a philosopher podcast where she talks about morals and ethics because I always thought they were the same thing, but she talks about morals, me inside, ethics, everyone else outside. So that helps me
Okay.
to remember. So
Yeah.
morals is your internal sense of right and wrong.
Yeah. Ethics is more the mores.
Yeah, yeah. Is that kind of what we're talking about? Like why you're doing something?
I think it is. I think it is. I'm seeing a lot of connections now. I mean, people are like this with grammar too. And
Yeah.
so people who are like grammar warriors, people call them grammar Nazis sometimes, which is a little bit of a stretch, but whatever. People who are obsessed with policing other people's use of language, that's prescriptive. And then there's descriptive
Yeah.
grammarians, which is people who are interested in grammar because they just love knowing how it works and playing with it and experimenting and watching it evolve because language is a living, growing thing. And that's what makes it so
Yes.
fascinating. So I think people who are policing other people's grammar, they're prescriptive. That's their attempt to assert their authority and signal externally for external validation that they know what they're talking about. If they really liked grammar, They wouldn't be telling other people what grammar is incorrectly. They would be sharing stuff and being like, oh, check this out. I didn't know that this happened in this dialect. That's super interesting, right?
Yes. Oh, that's bringing back like so many flashbacks of in grade, I think it would have been 8. I always have a lot of questions, right? You couldn't have guessed, teacher's pet over here, but I said, like, why are we saying ain't is wrong? People say ain't out loud and y'all and all of those things. And they were like, well, it's not correct. I was like, well, correct of what? Right. And
Yeah.
it turned out like their answer was that we have like these rules, and I guess they're from Britain or whatever, because I was in Canada at the time. So there's rules from Britain of how you're supposed to talk. And I'm like, okay, it changes over time though. And like, why is this wrong?
In the Queen's English, right?
But it was racism, right?
Yeah. It's racism and colonialism and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have a valid identity and any authority and any power unless you're using this made up thing
Yes.
called the Queen's English. If you're not using that in your everyday speech, you're stupid and you're low and you're never going to like have any kind of status in society because you aren't conforming to these
Yeah.
rules that are completely made up. Like nobody actually speaks that language. But in the US too, there's a standard English dialect that you're supposed to use if you're in like news broadcasting, that kind of stuff. It's made up. It's not a real dialect.
Yeah.
It's like
It's like the transatlantic accent.
yes,
Oh yeah.
nobody natively uses a transatlantic accent. Nobody.
No. And that also coincided with when I asked about, when you assumed gender was he. So like if you didn't know, it's like he is running up the
Yes.
hill or whatever.
Yeah.
And I asked, why is it he? And they said, because that's the rule. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, because I like rules. So as soon as he
Sure.
told me that, okay, that's the rule, okay, I understand now. And only
Mhm.
later am I like, why is that the rule?
Mhm. So I think similarly with ethics and morals, there's a parallel there where if you really care about what's right, you're going
Yeah.
to be focused on the morality of a situation. And if you're caring more about the performance and your own PR and how people are
Ooh.
perceiving your morals, you're going to be more concerned with the ethics.
Oh my God. I love that. I think that's exactly it. Because yeah, if you like I love figuring out what people are thinking and doing and why people do things that they do. Like that is so fun for me. So when someone comes up and says like this person's doing a crazy thing, I'm never like, "Ooh, they suck and they're horrible." I'm like, "Why are they doing that?" Like maybe they do suck. Maybe they are horrible.
Yeah. But what's going on behind that? Yeah.
Yeah, let's dig into it. Why is it happening?
Yeah.
Exactly, because I love that. But if I was more interested in I'm right, you're wrong, I could identify with that kind of content more, where they're like, look at this person is being stupid, look at him doing that stupid thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they fell down
Yeah.
or
And
whatever.
I'm like you, like it doesn't make me feel better for somebody else to feel worse.
No. And that goes with
I
morals.
don't feel cooler or more interesting or more worthy if somebody else is having a hard time.
No, I actually feel like I need to help them, which might be the role.
Yeah.
It's serving me right now.
If it's boundaries, be a helper, but make sure that it's boundaried.
Yes.
The other thing that I'm thinking of with morals versus ethics, besides grammar, I'm also thinking of
Hmm.
people like to know where you're getting your rule book, right? So people will ask you about
Mm.
religious beliefs, for example. They want to know what rules you're following. So I've had people ask me if
Yeah.
if I'm a spiritual or religious person, and I'll say, no, I was raised Christian, so that's why I'm an atheist.
I love that.
Um, and they'll sometimes ask follow-up questions about what rules I use to guide my decisions then. What stops you from stealing and killing people and this kind of thing. And to me
Yeah.
it feels absurd to me. Like that's not even a question. Like I can look at
Yeah.
the impact of my behavior. If I hurt somebody, I can see that they're hurt. I can see that everybody is worse off because I did that. So I'm going to make a different choice next time.
Right. Not because someone told me to.
Yeah. I can see that if somebody goes around raping and murdering people, or somebody goes around, I don't know, causing economic chaos because it makes them feel powerful, starting wars because they have small dick energy, I can see that that makes things
Hmm.
worse for a lot of people. So I don't want to do
Yeah.
that because I don't want my world to burn. It's worse for me if I make the world around me worse. It's better for me if I make the world around me better. Everybody
Yeah.
wins if you're just a decent person. So I don't need a deity to tell me that my life will be better if I treat people right. I can see it in real time.
Right. You don't need the carrot of heaven.
I don't.
And it's so confusing to see religion here in America because I have many like religious friends in Canada who experience religion in a totally different way than the ones
Okay.
I've encountered in America. I think they are totally different animals somehow because my religious friends in Canada support trans people. They support gay marriage. Like there's a lot where I'm like, "Oh, are these even the same religion? How is it
No.
expressing so differently?" Right. So even if someone says, "Oh, I'm a Christian," I'm like, I have follow-up questions.
Well, because one branch kind of gets tied up in the prosperity gospel and the culture wars.
Hmm.
And instead of actually listening to the teachings of Jesus, who was, a brown radical socialist, if we're being historically
Yeah.
accurate, and was executed by the state because he was questioning things.
Yeah. How pissed do you think he is? Like, let's say Jesus is floating around. How angry is he at this PR? I would be like, burn it. I
Right.
that's not me. Who are you guys talking about?
Yeah. It just gets twisted based on somebody's agenda. And if people don't understand the persuasive tactics that other people are using against them, then you're vulnerable to making choices that are against your own best interests because you're getting played by the person shaking the jar.
Yeah. Exactly. Who's shaking it? We know. We already know who it
Yeah.
is. Just keep your eye on the prize, people.
It's not your
Stop
neighbors.
fighting each other.
It's not the
No?
people trying to have a higher minimum wage. It's not trans athletes.
Oh.
It's not gay
No, for
people.
goodness sake.
It's no,
No, 100%. And this kind of goes, so let's say time, wisdom,
yeah,
age, and experience.
yeah.
Does, does, I don't think time makes you wise.
I would agree with that.
I think it might even calcify some people. I think, because I was told, I remember this clearly. It must have been the third grade, because I was in a 3-4 split class. So like
Okay.
half of us were in grade 3, half of us were in grade 4. I was in grade 3, and one of the girls said to me, respect your elders.
What?
She was in the four. She's like 9 months older than me or whatever. And I remember stopping and being like, I need I need to respect my like why and are you my elder? And she was like, well, I'm older than you. And I remember going home to my mom and being
Oh,
like, what is that? And she's like, well, you're supposed to respect your and I still have a problem with that. I will gladly respect anyone who is deserving of respect, right? If you're open minded and you're kind and you're curious and
yeah,
you're that, I will respect you.
yeah.
But I don't think being old does that.
Behave in a manner worthy of respect, and you will get respect.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to earn respect. So instead, they lean on controlling and coercive behavior. So they go for, because they're able to figure out how to make people afraid and pressure people.
Yeah.
And so they do that because that's easier for them than figuring out, well, how do I develop an actual relationship? How do I treat people in a way where they respect me because of how I'm showing up, not because of what I'm saying, and they're afraid to cross me? That's harder.
And instead of that, appeal to authority, right? Like, I'm older than you, I know more things. And at the same time, I think the older I've gotten, to like I've experienced more things, right? So and I understand, different people are different. I've changed what I think over time thanks to people giving me information about their experience. I think that's
Yeah,
valuable, but I also think some people shut that down. I think they get to a point where they're
absolutely.
like, no more new information.
Yeah,
Pronouns, that's too hard. I never want to be that person. And luckily, I have a lot of older people in my life and around me that they're like, oh, what is that? That's cool. How does that
yeah,
work? What does that slang mean? That's what
Yeah.
I want to be.
hmm Yeah, I think you're totally right that some people um, stop learning. They stop updating their internal operating system, right? They're like, nope, I got this.
Yeah.
I know the things. No further information necessary.
And I want you to come to me for advice. I haven't
Yeah,
thought of a new thing in 100 years, but I am wisdom and respect your elders in grade
yeah.
4.
I used to work in a custom cabinet shop for a few years, and I was an assistant. I was building and finishing and installing cabinetry, and the boss had had this shop for some 30-ish years. When I first met him, and like one of the neighbors came over who has a shop next door, and he was introducing himself to me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Scott's the best," and I'm like, "Okay." Internally, I'm like, "We're gonna see about that," because I actually knew a fair bit about
Mm-hmm.
woodworking, which is why he offered me the job. And this person had zero curiosity, zero
Mm.
interest in learning new techniques, being creative, nothing. So he was doing the same things he had been doing for years and years and years. He didn't customize the build based on the situation. He used the same hinges, the same joinery, the same everything. All you were customizing was what wood do you want it to be made from and what finish, and you pick your hardware for the handles.
That's comfortable.
And yet he had an entire bookcase in his office sagging with the weight of back issues of Fine Woodworking magazine that he had read,
Hmm.
didn't implement any of it.
So he's like reading it, but he's like, I'm not going to try to execute any of this. I don't want to update that. I'm going to do what I know how to do. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I can see the allure of that in some people.
because it makes you feel like you're a professional. Because look, this is the resource that I'm learning from, right? But dude didn't even know how to
Yeah.
sharpen a chisel. He's using all these power tools for
Mm.
everything, but there's some stuff where you need hand tools. And his chisels were always dull. And there's no bevel, it's rounded. I'm like, how the fuck is this guy? What? So I had to bring my sharpening stuff in, and I became the one to sharpen the chisels.
Do you think it comes from being alone, insulated in your own process? Because if he was
Mm.
like interacting, like he's interacting with you and he's instantly getting feedback of, oh, here's a thing we need to do. Was he resistant to it?
He was happy to let me become the caretaker of the chisels so that they could remain sharp. He was
Oh.
not interested in changing his sharpening practice.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds like a little calcification to me. Little, I've got my corner and I'm gonna sit in it. That's fine.
Yeah,
Not what
yeah,
I want to do. Then you could imagine that you're the best at whatever that thing is.
yeah. And this was only maybe 10 years ago. He didn't have a website, was not interested in having a
Nope.
website. Everything was word of mouth.
What is it like? I can't imagine it. I mean, it must be
I'm not,
comfortable. It must be so
yeah,
comfortable because nothing changes.
I'm not sure if it's comfortable or if it's just, I feel like if you live your life that way, there's got to be fear involved. You must be just scared.
Yeah. You're not going to try to make a new thing because you might fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these last two, I think, are very similar. Actions, we might
Okay.
have covered, but actions mean what you do. Like, I go to the gym, and therefore, I am something. I am a gym bro. It's kind of like a title, I think. What you do every day, is that part of your identity? That's kind of my guess on this one. I play games every day because they're fun. Is that part of my identity? I don't think so. But I think like puzzle solver would be part of my identity, and games are puzzles.
I wonder if it's depending on what role that action, that activity plays in your life. So for people who occasionally play games
Mm.
just because it's fun, probably not an important part of your identity. But if that's your main social circle, that's how you stay connected with your friends and maintain a social life, even say when there's a pandemic and school is shut down, so you can't see any of your friends. and this is how you
Yeah.
prevented yourself from losing your mind, and you've continued that to develop those friendships, you might be a gamer.
Yeah. And that might go for crystal girlies too, right? Whether you believe it or not, or things are happening or not, that might be your social circle. And that's fine.
It might be guiding how you make decisions in your life. It might be building community for you where you're connecting with people with a similar interest. Yeah, so that might be a part of your
Yeah.
identity.
And that could be good or bad, as with everything, right? I notice that all the
Hmm.
time. I'm like, oh, everything's a tool. Everything is, it can be
Yeah,
manipulated or used or whatever it is.
both and.
Both and. This one is experience of what happens around you. We kind of talked about it earlier where, like, do I make things happen or do things happen to me? And it's both, right? But this is what's happening around you. Is that your identity? So I was thinking of, like, America is happening around me. I am
Mm.
American. Is
Mm.
that part of my identity? I don't really, things happening around me doesn't feel like part of me at all, but I think other people it might.
I think these are things that often will shape your identity in some way.
Ah.
I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
they are your identity. It's how
I think that is right.
the experiences that you have throughout your life and how you respond to them and what you learn from them and how they change
Ooh.
your behavior. I mean, growing up in the United States, that's going to have certain influences on your behavior. And unless you read some books and meet people from other places, you're going to think some stupid stuff about this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I grew up in Southern California in a pretty conservative area, my parents were very conservative. Um, and being Southern California, there is a large population of people who are not white. A lot of them are people who either directly immigrated from Mexico or their family was from there and had been there for generations. A lot of mix of different cultures, though, from Japan, Samoa, all over places. But so being very conservative places, there's a lot of some of it's low key racism and some of it's less low key. But people say a lot of things about immigrants in a place where there's a lot of immigrants. And they'll make generalizations based on the individuals that they see and what they think that says about that person's character. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually, I'm in college and I have to pick a language to study. In high school, I studied Latin because everybody around me was taking Spanish because that was the easy language that you hear around you every day. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That sounds boring. So I took Latin for 2 years. But then I get to college and that's not an option. I needed something different. And I chose Spanish. And part of that was how I ended up being a Spanish major was once I started learning Spanish and I had more friends who spoke Spanish and their families were from Mexico, and I started to really see the disconnect between the reality and what the white people in my life had been telling me. And I started thinking
Yeah.
maybe my parents don't actually know everything about Mexico and Mexican culture and Mexican Americans. And I think if I'm going to understand this complex intersection of cultures that helped make us who we are as Californians and as Americans, I'm gonna have to go talk to some Mexicans.
Yeah. Let's go to the source here.
Yeah. So there were inputs from my upbringing, the experiences that kind of shaped who I was for a while. And I said some horrible things about people, that I would not say now, but it was based on, race and heritage. And I'm appalled at some of the things I said, but that's what I was trained to do. And it took a while for me to have enough
Mm-hmm.
experience from different sources to start to question that and to decide that I wanted to take
Oh,
a
yeah.
different path in my life.
Yeah. And it's funny. You're saying, like, at a certain point, you're like, oh, let me investigate this. And that's why some people are afraid of college, right? Some people being Republicans or conservatives, they're afraid that when you go to college, you're exposed to different people and different ideas.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the calcification. Like, if you're curious, if you love things and humanity and tasks, curiosity, loving those things, chasing them down,
Yeah.
that is growth. And I think you're right. Experience happens and it's things and it's inputs. And is this serving me? Have I figured everything out about this? How can I interact with this in a different way?
Yeah. And you get to make those decisions on purpose. That's one of the cool
Yes.
things about it is that you're not just like the passive product of all of these things happening in the world around you. You can take in those inputs and you can look at them, take a step back and say, what do I want to do with this? That's your choice.
Yeah. Ooh, that's fun. That's what we should all be doing on a Friday night.
Making it all about everybody else, that's a cop out,
That's the easy way out. That's the hitting share.
right? If you say, well, this is just who, this is what I was raised with. Oh, grandpa wasn't an asshole. He was
Mm-hmm.
just raised in a time when everybody used the N-word and that was totally acceptable. It's not his fault. Really? Okay. How long was he alive and how many years did he have where he could have made a different choice knowing more about that
Yeah.
situation?
And isn't that funny where it's like land of the free,
Yeah.
we can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. That's the messaging on that side, but it's also not the embodied experience of like, okay, if you are the powerful, wonderful person, why aren't you being more compassionate and kind?
Hmm.
Oh, because you have a different agenda, right? It's
Hmm.
fear and it's all those things. You're not trying to make stuff better. You're trying to make people scared. And you're doing
Right.
it.
People.
And that's part of why I'm like, I don't want to be scared anymore. And I will be, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
Yeah. We all have different wolves inside of us and we can choose which one to listen to.
We wind down with
Okay.
some introspection. Not that we haven't already done a lot of introspection, but what's been working for you lately?
Here's kind of a big one. It's not brand new, but it is working. And I think it's pretty powerful because it took me a long time to learn. Um, I'm no longer taking the blame for other people's behaviors and choices.
Ooh, nice.
We all have feelings that come up. We can't control what feelings come up, right? We can't control if we get an emotion happening. That happens automatically. That's our nervous system responding to what's happening around us and giving us information. That's what feelings are. It's just information trying to direct our attention to something. But then what happens after that is we have to make a choice about what to do with that information, how to respond to it, right? Which means you have to learn to create a
Yeah.
space between the stimulus and the response. If you don't create that space, you're not responding, you're reacting, a lot of times in destructive ways. So it took me a long time to create more separation between myself and what other people were doing with their feelings because
Oh.
I didn't want the people in my life to be suffering. And if they were suffering, I wanted to do what I could to support them and create a space where they felt okay and they could do what they needed to do and um, things would get better. But sometimes I would get blamed for things that were not anything to do with me. I said this thing
Mm-hmm.
because you're not doing XYZ. I felt this way because you are this type of person. I made this choice because you did this thing and I couldn't handle it. Okay, that's all a you thing, buddy.
Right. Yep, it
And on
is.
some level, I knew that, but didn't know what to do about
That's
it.
looking for perfection. That's someone who wants to never be inconvenienced.
Yeah. So now I've been through that so many
Yeah.
times and having come out the other side and gotten more clarity on that of like, I knew that that was wrong to get blamed for things that I did not do and had nothing to do with the origins of, all the things. But being on the other side, it's a lot easier now for me to hear people have hard feelings or complain about something or struggle and not immediately think, well, I need to make sure that I'm supporting them. And
Right.
if they make a mistake that hurts me, right, because it didn't start with me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't cause the problem. I cannot fix it. And if they do something that hurts me,
Yeah.
my immediate response is not, well, what did I do wrong? It's not, what do I need to do to
Mm,
fix this? It's, all right, let me continue to gather more data. Let me hear more details
yeah.
on what you think led to this. Why did
Yeah.
you make this choice? And what are you going to do about it
Oh, that's
now
powerful.
so you don't do that again? So I'm not taking any of that on me,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one to learn.
Particularly in relationships, sometimes in a romantic relationship. Yeah. Sometimes people will be like, well, my partner did this thing that was
Yeah.
really painful, and I just feel terrible that we had disconnected, or the relationship was in a place where they felt like they had to do that or whatever, and you're just making excuses for somebody else's choice.
Yeah. And I think like TikTok and some of those places, people have learned enough, they've learned enough like therapy speak to use it as manipulation, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, my boundary is that you should never ask me to do anything. It's like, what the fuck? That's not a boundary.
Yeah. My boundary is that my girlfriend can't be going out in revealing clothing. That's not a boundary.
Right. It's like, okay, so the boundary would be like if you go out wearing that, I break up with you. That should be the boundary and done. Okay, it's problem solved. We don't have to be in this
Yeah.
spiral forever.
Yeah. Thank you for taking yourself out to the trash. Yeah, boundaries are not,
Yes.
just to be super clear, boundaries are not what, they're not about what somebody else can and can't do. They're about what you're going to do. They're about the distinction between you and another person. What am I going to do? What am I going to
Yes.
accept?
Yes, that's exactly.
That's it. You can only make decisions about yourself. And like, if this happens, here's how I'm going to respond because I'm protecting myself.
And then you have to
That's a
follow
boundary.
through on the boundary, which is a whole other
And then
ball
you
of
have to follow
wax.
through.
Because if you don't follow through, it's not a boundary. It's just a word you
But
said.
it's not an ultimatum either.
No,
It's just like, here's
exactly.
where I am, here's what I need, here's what I'm looking for. So this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
been working for me. Yeah.
No, I love that.
I it's hard enough managing your own responsibilities without taking on somebody else's.
Oh, it is. Yeah, no, and we can't. We only have so many spoons. So if someone wants to learn more about identity or philosophy or any of these things, what should they do?
Philosophy, oh, I do actually have a recommendation. So there's a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's sort of a layperson's introduction to Stoic
Yeah.
philosophy, which is not just smile and grin and bear it. It's actually realistic assessment of the situation, take a pause. Now, how do we turn that into the step forward that we need to be taking? Okay. So that's for philosophy. Relationship stuff, I highly recommend Loving Bravely
I love that.
um, by Alexandra Solomon.
Yeah.
It's learning about yourself and understanding yourself and learning to like and love yourself. And then if you end up in a relationship, cool, you'll have all these skills that'll make you a better partner. But it's not about like, do this to find the love of your life. It's like, if you want to be the person you want to be, you have to look more closely.
I'm going to put both of those on my list for
Yeah.
sure. And if someone wants more Dorothy or if their brand needs some fixing, where should they go?
Yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Dorothy Fee. Hit the follow button if we don't already know each other. LinkedIn is about my network for me. It's not about collecting followers. So if we haven't had a conversation and you don't know who I am and I don't know who you are, like you need to start the conversation. But follow button exists for a reason. And you can also go to dorothycopy.com until I change the domain name at some point. But we'll have a redirect.
And you also have a what's your number one messaging blind spot quiz on there. So if someone wants
Yeah.
to just take a little quick quiz, see a little hint.
Yeah.
And it's fun and it's helpful and it's not a boring quiz.
Thank you for saying that. I had fun writing it. I've had people tell me it was really helpful and fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if something is off and you're not sure what, it takes 2 minutes, and there's a pretty detailed results page where you'll get some tips based on where you are to help you get started with some kind of next step forward.
And that's the benefit of having an overthinker writing a quiz. The answer is
Correct.
detailed.
Did it take me way longer than it should have? Yes. Is it really valuable? Also, yes.
That's how I feel about everything I
Right.
do. Like, did it take me too
Mm-hmm.
long? Absolutely. Is it what I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say? Yep.
Yep.
So thank you so much for coming on, Dorothy.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
We end every episode with an exceptional outro that I haven't thought of yet. Until then, we are stealing. So this one is from Mr. Rogers. You've made today a special day just by being you. There's only one person in the whole world like you, and people can like you exactly as you are. I'll be back next time. Bye!